Hello and welcome to ChinnyVision 2, the second channel of ChinnyVision, where everything is a little bit more relaxed. And I had a question on the channel's comments just in the week, which got me thinking, because there's some general stuff that crops up in the comments from time to time. And I thought I'd address some of these points. So this isn't a direct question and answer, more of a kind of, well, general questions that always crop up, really. And the first, the one that inspired it was somebody asked me why I don't buy a dragon for the channel. Now, I've got a lot of machines here, more machines than I have room for. Eagle-eyed viewers will have noticed I actually sold the channel's Amstrad PPC 640 last weekend because it was sitting by the side of my mixing desk here, literally to the right of me, just taking up space. And I'm thinking to myself, well, it's a nice thing to own, but I'm not really using it. So I thought, well, it's got to go, really, hasn't it? So off it's gone to a new owner. But in terms of machines like the Dragon, the Auric, the ZX81's another one that's cropped up. I've looked at them at various times. And I'm not going to say no, I'm never going to buy one, but there is that space consideration. There's a money consideration as well, because some of the channels on YouTube do reviews of hardware, and they give the impression of actually kind of having that hardware, but they don't, because you'll notice there's certain machines that kind of seem to get passed around between channels. Some of the big channels, they will do a review of Machine X, and lo and behold, another channel does actually the same machine 6 months later. So some of these channels that are doing this stuff, who don't use these machines day to day, are covering them, and that's fine. That works for them. That's absolutely fine. When I get a machine, I actually want it in here, and I want to be able to use it all the time, hopefully. But actually, the reality is, you can't. I've got machines like the VIC-20, I've got that Archimedes that cost the channel quite a lot of money that I haven't really done much with. And you begin to look at stuff like the Auric, and I have put bids in on stuff. I have put bids in on Dragons and Aurics, but I haven't chased it because I don't want to spend a fortune on them, and I just know they're going to get here, and I really don't know how much use I'm going to get out of them, because there's core machines for ChinnyVision. The core machines are the Amstrad, Spectrum, C64, ST, Amiga. They're the five, really. They're the five you're always going to have in the mix. Actually, you can boil it down to Amstrad, Spectrum and Commodore. If you went through all the reviews on the channel, those machines are going to come up the most times. CPC is going to be top, just because I've done some CPC exclusive videos over the years, some of the Amsoft titles and so on. But they're the kind of Amstrad, Spectrum, Commodore, SD and Amiga are the five that are basically 90% of what I do. Everything else, then you get machines like the MSX, BBC Micro, Atari 8-bit, which I cover and use regularly, but not as much, because it's kind of proportional to the state of the 1980s UK computer scene and the early 90s. And then there's stuff like the PC, which I do because I feel I have to, but actually there's no real affinity for me towards those machines. It's quite a lot of hassle to cover them, but I think it's sometimes important to show the PC off. And then there's other machines like the C16, or the Plus 4, which I've got rather, and the VIC-20, which I'd really dearly love to do more with, but I just don't get the opportunity. And the Archimedes as well, again, it's just getting it out, getting it running. I didn't realise how hard, when I got the Archimedes, it was going to be able to get games running, that there's no cracking scene on the Archimedes. So if you want a copy of Zool, you can download one, but you can't get the code wheel. Now, someone's very helpfully helped me out with that, so we might be doing Zool soon. But there's no... The copy protection is on all the discs. People are making a nice amount of money selling Archimedes games on eBay, so there's no real incentive in the scene to actually crack all those games like you can for the ST and Amiga. There's no scene there, which one day is going to cause them a problem, because ultimately any ST and Amiga user will tell you it's those cracked versions that keep the scene alive. As the original media deteriorates, the protection schemes code wheels get lost and broken. It's those cracked versions that help keep things going. But I know people in the Archimedes scene feel pretty strongly. I suspect they're the people who are actually selling them games, though. So, yeah. Remember, kids, don't pirate. Do phone fast. So, yeah, that's probably the reason why I haven't got an Auric, a Dragon, and so on. Not to say I never will, but there's considerations. It's economic, it's practicalities, it's all sorts of different things. Another thing that's cropped up a couple of times recently is your emulator settings are wrong. I don't use emulators. Pretty much everything you see on ChinnyVision, unless stated otherwise, is real hardware. Yes, somebody was actually complaining. I think it's my Atari 8-bit footage, which I present uncropped. There's stuff going down the right-hand side of the picture, or was it left-hand side of the picture, that you get with the Atari 8-bits, and they're telling me that the emulator is wrong. Now, I don't really like cropping stuff that much. So, yeah, you do get the odd things going on the sides, and they only get cropped out if they are really super distracting. But no, there are no emulators on this channel. It's been all real hardware from day one. Back when I started, it was a rarity. These days, any Tom, Dick or Harry can easily capture real hardware, so it's not much of a selling point, really. So perhaps I should stop banging on about it, except there are still people out there posting on emulators and stuff, so who knows. But this channel's all about using the original hardware and enjoying it. Similar one is, you are rubbish at this game. Well, yeah, I mean, there's capture delay on the current setup, the RetroTink. When I finally get that all working, or rather when they get the firmware working, may fix some of that. But also it's limited amount of time to play the games and so on. So you're just doing your best and showing as much of the game as you can. Please, can you cover Game X is another question. Possibly. I don't do reviews to order because every time I try to do them, they just go horribly, horribly wrong, because you'll suddenly hit a version that doesn't work. If you're doing like a 5 or 6 format review, you have to get all those versions working, and you're probably going to have a decent cheat for 3 or 4 of those versions as well if you want to show a large amount of the game. So actually just getting all your bits lined up before I even start capturing is really hard. So actually it's not so much I really want to do Game X as, can I get Game X working on all the systems I need? And so a lot of the stuff on ChinnyVision is dictated by, actually, I've just found I have X amount of versions already running. I just need to get the ST and Amiga going, and then it's sorted. It's just the practicalities of a weekly channel. Every Thursday a video comes out, and bonus videos on a Sunday from time to time as well. And you can very easily, if you've got to set aside an evening to capture, say, 3 or 4 versions, you can just waste the entire evening just trying to get one version working. You wouldn't believe sometimes it just eats up time. Suddenly it works and it doesn't, it crashes. You have to go find another version and so on. It can just be really time consuming. So games are picked usually on the basis of they're all working, so let's do it. Somebody asked why videos have views already when they go live. And the answer is because of Patreon. ChinnyVision has a Patreon. Lots of lovely people kindly support the channel on there. And those people get previews of videos. So sometimes a video will have been on preview. Could have been there for quite a while. So it'll probably have about 50, 60 views on it when it goes live. So that's the reason for that. Another thing is, it's implied I make loads of money out of ChinnyVision, which I really don't. It's no, this isn't a full-time channel. And no, there's no adverts on the channel. I know there's adverts on ChinnyVision too. YouTube forces those. They'll come off when we reach 1,000 subs and 10,000 viewing hours, I think. But no, there's only the Patreon, and that money gets spent. Really, I've got a retro tink I'm looking at here. I've bought stuff for a project that I can't discuss at the moment, but I've bought stuff in for that. So what's it, $250 or something on Patreon a month? It's all open. You can go and see it. I'm not one of these people who hides the amount on Patreon, so it's all public. But that pretty much gets spent. And similarly, we've got the little bit of merchandise. We've got the coasters and the pens. Well, you're not gonna buy a solid gold helicopter off of those. I had to put the prices up on the coasters because I got the pricing wrong. I had to put £1 on them because I was basically sending them out what it was costing me to make them and post them. So I had to add £1 on there to put those up. And the pens, I think they bring in about £1 each as well. So it's not, you're not getting rich off this stuff. It's a little bit of cash that just goes back into the channel to do stuff. And that's cool because it's not a living. You couldn't make a living talking about old Amstrad CPC games. You would have to do, you'd have to go down the route where you need more views. I see this for some channels, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I see some channels where the owner has to make a living off of it, and you watch them slip. There's one I was looking at this evening, a channel I really like. It's not quite within our sphere, so it's not the person you're thinking of. It's another area, but I've watched their channel just slowly slip slightly from where it was, what it was about, to being something a little bit more mainstream, and those kind of clickbaity, face-pulling pictures on the thumbnails and so on. I mean, I can talk. I do have fun with the thumbnails now sometimes. How cheesy I can make them, how many garish colours, how many pictures of David Darling or Alan Sugar. But I've tried to keep this this is generally the vision of what I had for the channel when it started 6-7 years ago. How many years? 426 or 430 episodes ago. It's still pretty much as I envisaged it at the start, and it's a genuine surprise when videos do well within ChinnyVision sphere anyway. The new Spectrum game video did really well, and the Outrun Europa. Actually, Outrun Europa doing well or not didn't come as a huge surprise because Turbo Outrun had done really well, so I knew it'd probably do some business. But generally speaking, these aren't hugely popular videos. YouTube likes you 1 minute and promotes you and pumps stuff to your phone saying you're doing really well, blah, 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 blah. And the next minute is telling you your video's underperforming and all this and that just because you've gone back to doing, well, not gone back, but you've put out a more regular ChinnyVision fare like Mr. Wimpy or something. It's kind of a standard video as opposed to something covering new games. And I don't want to cover new games the entire time. I don't want to be doing, I just want to do what I do. And if people like it, that's great. If people don't like it, well, there's plenty of other content on YouTube. Plenty of other stuff for people to watch, so they can go and watch it, and that's fine. And I will just plough on with this until such time as I either get bored or die. Basically, that's it. That's it. Or the computers will die, and I can't do it anymore because of that. But I'm just happy pottering around with my Amstrad, Spectrum C64, BBC, what have you. And if you guys want to watch, that's really cool. Couple more questions. General one that comes up. Your opinion is wrong. Yeah, probably is. And it's a review, so I have to have an opinion. I have to come up with a review. It's unscripted. For the game reviews, it is sometimes with the hardware. I might put a scripted section in the middle, but it's very, very rare that I might do that. If I'm doing a history section, I think the 464 video had a small amount of script in it because I did it originally at the table and I came to edit it and it was just a bumbling mess, a bit like this video. But this video is supposed to be a bumbling mess. So I thought, no, I've got to just put some bullet points down and just do this. So I went away and I think I just revoiced it and added it in afterwards, but did it on the same microphone in the kitchen. So it didn't kind of come over to my Simon Bates setup here. But it's a review channel. It's supposed to be entertainment. I've always got one mind on, people that watch this and want to watch it and hopefully be entertained by it. So you've got to have an opinion. It's not personal if you really feel that strongly about a game from 30 years ago. Well, that's your business, really. If I've said I don't like the game, so what? It's a review. There'll be 10 other people on YouTube saying the opposite to me. So what? So it's just a bit of fun. Apart from when I get really cross, of course, when it's definitely not fun. And the other thing that comes up ludicrously is you're biased against machine X, Y, or Z. And I'm heartened by the sheer spread of machines I'm biased against, because they're not saying, oh, you're a fan. Well, the Amstrad fanboy thing comes up a bit, but the Amstrad, I've had in all honesty, I've had Amstrad owners have a go at me. One particularly just nuts person, among other things, told me in all seriousness that if an Amstrad version of the game wasn't any good, then I shouldn't be reviewing the game as an Amstrad owner, because I shouldn't be doing down the CPC. So, I just show what I get. If the CPC version's rubbish, I'll say. If it's great, I'll say. If C64 owners are being a little bit blind to the shortcomings of their machine, I'll say. If a Spectrum version is a mess and you can't see what you're doing, I'll say. It's the ST owners I always feel sorry for, because it's very rarely you come out on top on the ST. Or the 3D Paul, I pointed out that it would be faster on a stock machine, although then I ran on my version on an A1200. And that's another thing I get people complaining I use an accelerated A1200. And the answer is, it's time. I would love to run everything on the A600, get it out, create the floppies and so on. But if the image is sitting there on the A1200's compact flash, that means it's instantly there. It's not, right, okay, let's put image onto the USB stick and put it into the Amiga 600. Hopefully it works. May do, may not, who knows. And I've got to get all that out, set it up, wire it up. It's a lot of work. My machine choices are always dictated by ease of use, and the machines I've always got out are the Amiga ST BBC 6128, Amstrad CP 6128, Spectrum Plus 2, Commodore 64, MSX2, and I got my Dreamcast and SNES and Mega Drive and Master System out as well. Everything else has to be got out and plugged in. My 48K Plus is hiding behind my Grey Plus 2, so I can pull that in fairly easily as well, because I like to show that whenever I can. But it's, the rest of it, the Plus 4 has to come out, the VIC-20 has to be taken out and plugged in, and the Archimedes has to be moved across the room. And that's got to be moved across the room really carefully, because if it moves a little bit too much, the module that has the IDE thing in seems to dislodge very slightly and the thing won't boot. And there's there's just the practical. Oh, the Dreamcast is out the entire time as well, because although I haven't used it much lately, I couldn't bear not to have that out. One more thing some people sometimes ask me is, what modern games do I play? And the answer is none. And it's not because I don't like modern games. It's because I don't get the time. Gaming is now ChinnyVision. That's it. If I'm gaming, I'm pretty much either researching for ChinnyVision or capturing for ChinnyVision, which means it's always on the old machines. I used to play a lot of Halo, Forza on the 360, Elite Dangerous I was playing, and it's all just fallen by the wayside, and that's the big regret I've got, that I don't actually do anything other than this channel in terms of games. And the new Forza looks so cool. It looks so cool, but could I honestly spend that money on an Xbox? What are they called? I don't even know what they're called. Xbox. They're not 360. Was the one after the 360? Because I've skipped a generation already. Let's call it the Xbox 480. The Xbox 480. Or the PlayStation 6, 5? 5? Is it 5? I couldn't justify that kind of cash to use it very, very little. So I do feel a little bit out of touch, which is a shame, because I say that new Forza looks really, really good. But that's enough wittering for me on this kind of a one-way question and answer. Goodness knows what I'm going to put on the screen when you're listening to this. But yeah, that's ChinnyVision 2, I guess, isn't it? I mean, on the plus side, you don't have to look at my grinning mug, thumbs aloft with the baseball cap on, going, hey, look at me, because I'm just here talking to you like this, and that's a good thing, I think. You can just have me on the background wittering on while you're in the greenhouse, or emptying the dishwasher, or something else. But anyway, thanks for listening. See you soon.